Hi, and welcome to Foxys Den. Well, what have we got here today? Well, we've got this, which we're just going to have a little quick look at it for the moment. I'm still waiting for some bits and pieces to arrive, and I'm still looking for my little capacitor testing device. I'm still looking for that, and I've absolutely no idea where that is at the moment. But eventually, I shall come across it. But as I say, this, yeah, well, as I said, this is one of those add-on amplifiers which was intended to turn one of those chairside record players into a stereo one. Yeah, it's got a couple of knobs missing. Well, they're not actually missing. I took them off because the skirts had broken off, and I've got them repaired. So I've glued them back together and cleaned them up nicely. So they're ready to go back on when I've finished cleaning the rest of this. I'm not absolutely quite sure exactly what I'm going to do be doing with this at the moment. As you can see, it is somewhat cosmetically challenged. There are a few dings in the panel here, and what looks like a bit of paint or something that's got in there. It's quite dusty. There are a few marks and what have you, a few scratches. Also, it's got this socket here which is a little bit crusty. It's a bit rusty around the edges, but that might clean up. Excuse me, and I say my cough's coming back again. If anyone wants that, welcome to have it. Right, okay, let's see what we can, what else we can do to this. Well, I'll show you the back of it for a start. Here we go. Now, here's the back of it. Now, I'm sure you'll be able to see that somehow it's had a little modification done to it. This is not of my doing, as I say. You can tell that by the untidiness and rather crudeness of the way it's been done. I have no idea exactly why it's been done, but I'm hazarding a guess that this is probably an external speaker socket. But quite why anyone would want to put an external speaker on one of these, it doesn't really. I don't really see the point of doing that, really. Well, I've come to one conclusion actually. It's that this was probably done by some ham-fisted Neanderthal guitarist, probably. He's probably been using this as a guitar amplifier. Well, it's fine as a practice amplifier, I suppose, but I should imagine he's probably thought it sounded a little bit gutless, so he decided to add an external speaker to it, and has made rather a mess of it. I don't understand why those were fitted up here. They could just as easily have been put down the bottom here. And this being a sort of cardboard, basically, as I say, you have no problems whatsoever in drilling this or making a hole in this. Even if you haven't got a drill, as I say, you could put a screwdriver through this and just ream it out with a pair of scissors, and you would have made a nice neat hole. But now, as I say, just go and butcher this at the top here. Right, well, we'll go and get a screwdriver, which we happen to have one just right here, and I've noticed that the plastic ones are missing from the bottom here. I've never actually been into this. I bought this on eBay quite some time ago, and I think the guy said that plugged it in and it made amplifier noises. So that could be anybody's guess as to what amplifier noises are. It could mean that it just made a loud hum because there was a faulty filter capacitor, or quite more usually, it might just have been the Big Bang, which is what most things seem to do. Yeah, that's usually described on eBay as I plugged it in and it made a noise. it is how they describe that sort of thing. Well, here we are. It's coming off. Ooh. Yes, well, it is right that that is exactly what that was for, the socket and the switch there. It is a bit crusty as well. And I can see that this is the original speaker terminals, which has just fallen off. Yeah, there we go. Right, well, as I say, I'm sure we'll be able to do something with this as soon as I get my capacitor tester. Yeah, as I say, those still seem to be okay, and so I'll desolder that, and I shall probably remove this as well. But as to whether I can, I should be able to remove the socket. Sorry, I wasn't. I forgot that was on the bench there, and you couldn't see it. Yeah, I don't know whether you can see. I'll just let you have a little closer look. As I say, it really is rather crusty, is that? It's not very nice at all, that. I'm in two minds as to what to do with this, as to whether to remove all this and put it back as it was, and try and restore it as best as possible with and repair the damage that's been done there. But having said that, and because it's in such poor condition, I don't know whether I should go to all that trouble to do that. I might actually do some modifications of my own and fit this a lot better, and possibly yeah, I could do a little modification to that. I'll let you know about that in the next video when I decide on what I'm going to do with this, because in the next video, as I say, I shall we shall warm up the soldering iron, and we shall start doing some soldering and well, desoldering, and we shall do a few little checks here and there. I'm hazarding a guess that yes, as I said, this does look like Phillips and Mollard types components, I think. Yeah, well, you can see those in there. So we have in the bottom there on the heatsink there. Presumably we shall have a couple of or at least a complementary pair of AD161 and AD162, which will probably need to be checked as well. We should look at the smoothing cap across this as well, because as I say, those are usually dried out. We'll probably have a selenium rectifier in there somewhere as well. That'll probably be on the board somewhere, because I don't see it on the tag strip. It's kind of nice that as soon as you open this, you've got mains voltages right here on the transformer. So as soon as you open it, you've got a chance of getting your fingers on there and getting yourself a nasty shock. But there we go. As I say, that's another project for another time there. But I thought I'd just point out another little thing actually. Yes, this is what I find is a really useful tool in my toolkit. Yeah, this is a 6mm plastic knitting needle, which is quite it's quite flexible and bendable. So actually what I use this for is for poking about and prodding about in on printed circuit boards and etc. It's also because it's insulated, you don't short circuit anything, and it's quite useful for when you do for when you're actually doing a YouTube video, because as I say, it's quite a interesting thing to be able to point to things rather than yeah, as I say, without pointing like that with my my hand there and showing you what I'm pointing at, where you can't see it because of my great big meat hooks. But as I say, this is a lot easier, and as I say, you can just point to whatever it is that you want anyone to look at. It's also quite good for tapping things and checking joints and what have you. And also if you actually you can actually file a flat on both sides there to make this into a little screwdriver, which comes in very handy for adjusting presets, and also IF coils on radio sets, because you can get quite a distance away from it, so you got no hand capacitance effects. And as I say, it's an extremely useful little tool for doing that type of thing. But there you are. As I say, that's it's one of my useful tools. As I say, it's great if you're working on especially if you're working on a valve set. As I say, you don't want to be poking about with your fingers or even using a metal screwdriver, because it's very, very easy to short circuit something. And you've got higher voltages in there, and you also got higher currents as well. So it can be rather nasty on the inside when you do that. So as I say, I like to use this plastic screwdriver, which is an extremely useful. Well, it's a knitting needle, sorry, but you can make it into a screwdriver if you wish. And as I say, it is quite handy for tapping things with the other end, as well as the pointy end as well. But there we go. As I say, well, thanks for watching, and as I say, more to come later. So we'll have a proper look at this later on in the next video. And well, there you are. Well, thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm starting to ramble on a little bit. My brain's not working well today. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. Bye-sy daisies.